So that's an important distinction because what we want to focus on, at least in the beginning, right? Because I'm a big believer in let's build the model and get the model working, and then we can always duplicate or expand, right?
Hey, Dell here. So what was that? Well, people are always curious about how I coach. So I figured, why not just show you? No fluff, no fancy editing, just real coaching in real time. You know, my clients say time and time again that I'm able to show them exactly what to do and how to do it in the simplest, most understandable way. So keep watching, because what you're about to see, I believe, will change the way you think about and what you do in your business. Oh, and it'll probably help you make a whole lot more money too, because isn't that what it's really all about anyway? So let's get right back to it.
Right? We're not trying to create a number of different high-end offers or different things that you can do. I want you to pick one that's going to be your main offer. Now, that doesn't mean, that offer could take a year to deliver, right? If that's the way your program works, if you have a program like that, or it can be as simple as, I have this for sale and you buy it and I make a lot of money with it. But I want you to focus on just one value aspect. Does that make sense? And it's fine to build a Ferrari, right? But I don't want you to build a Mercedes, and I don't want you to build a Maserati along with the Ferrari, and I don't want you to build a Jeep, and I don't want you to build a Hummer and all the other things, right? If you're going to build a Ferrari, let's build a Ferrari. Now, what I want you to do, here's the exercise I want you to work on and complete. And again, we can talk about it in a coaching session. I'm going to talk about a common numerator. There's a common numerator for all of those things. All of those things combined help someone be, do, or have something. I want you to think about that. If I was to give somebody all of those things, what would I be giving them, right? What would they be able to do? What would they have? And that really is what your high-end offer is. Just as an example, and this is not a good example, but just trying to illustrate a point, right? I can help you start and build a business and make it profitable. And when you have that, you'll have peace of mind, you'll have clarity, you'll have less stress, you'll have all of these things. Do you see how those are all, I've given it the common numerator of, not a great example, but just for illustration, of building a business and making money with it. One of the primary reasons we're corralling it in is so we can communicate about it, right? And so that we can articulate what it is that we do and what we do for someone. When we're in that process, which we're really going to get into in January when we get together, we don't want to be like all over the board, right? And we don't want it to feel like these are all these disjointed things that you could do for someone. We want to bring it all together and say, this is what I do. If I'm thinking about that and listening to that, what I'm picking out of that is that you're helping someone get unstuck on a scale or a weight scale, right? Is that, when I say getting unstuck, is that more you, or is relieving trauma or getting through trauma, is that more you? See, that's the direction we want to go in, right? What do you do, Valerie? I get people unstuck. And if you want to get more specific, and you can say, I get professional women unstuck. And then you can start to elaborate on that if you want to elaborate on that, right? I get professional women unstuck in their professional lives, whatever that happens. So again, I'm just making that up for an example. But do you see how I've taken all that, and all the things that you do can be components of helping someone to get unstuck, or they can be results of what you get when you get unstuck. I don't know if it's necessarily more powerful or less powerful. It really has to be what resonates with you. Is your thing about self-confidence, or is your thing about getting unstuck? And I do this all the time with myself, right? I'm constantly doing that weighing. If I had to pick one or the other, what's my direction? What's my passion? What am I interested in? What do I want to talk about? Do I want to talk about getting unstuck, or do I want to talk about self-confidence? Both of them are great. Here's something that's really, really important for everybody. We're going to hear a lot about this throughout the year. I want you to also make sure you're talking about things that you believe, or perhaps even know, people want. And it's not things that you believe people should have or that people need, because people don't buy what you think they need. They buy what they want. If you say, I see a lot of people that are stuck and they need to have this and they should be doing this and they should be doing that. I know you're not saying those exact words, but you want to be careful of that. Right? And this is true for all of our offers, right? Our offers have to be based upon something that somebody says that they want, or we have a very good idea that this is what they want, not what I think they need. What do I do? So ask yourself the question, what do I do right? What do I do for my target audience, right? Because that mindset is, I'm thinking about what is it they want. I want you to answer that question. Then I want you to take all the things that you come up with, and I want you to figure out what's the umbrella that encompasses or encases all of those. Those are things I want you to think about between now and our coaching. Nobody wants to go to a class, whether it's movement or anything else, and nobody wants to be coached, right? What people want, again, is what they want, right? So let's start to think about, and let's to answer your question and to get on the right track, let's think about it sort of reverse engineering or backwards. So when you're coaching with someone, right, in your coaching program or however you do your coaching, what is it that you're coaching them to, or what is it that they're going to get that you know or believe that they want when you coach them? So I'm going to use my own words for the purpose of our discussion, and you can course correct me now, or you can just take it my own words. But what I'm hearing is, what I do is I put you in love with your body, because when you're in love with your body, anything is possible, right? That's like the first step to anything that you want to achieve, right? Because you're going to experience it in your body, right? Again, these are my words. So if I'm coaching you, I'm coaching you on how to love your body, with a more specific emphasis on understanding what you want to do once you get into that great state of mind, right? And that great state of mind and great state of body, right? So if I was talking to you in a one-on-one coaching session, Emily, I would find out what you ultimately want to do. And you might, and again, making this up, you might say, I want to go for this huge promotion in my organization, right? It's like, okay, great. Let's get you loving your body first, because that's the first step to take you towards that promotion. So that would then be the high-end offer on the coaching. So as we reverse engineer this now, we have to ask ourselves, if we're going to do something quote unquote smaller than that, or a lead into that, what would that do for them? And how does that relate to what I've just described in my own words as loving your body, so that you could ultimately do whatever it is that you want to do? A couple of things of note, which I think you probably know intuitively already. In our communication, we have to associate their body with their higher aspiration, right? If that's the promotion, if that's a loving relationship, if it's more money, your job for you and your business is to associate the body with that. Okay. And when you're coaching with them, then you can really give them everything, and you can actually probably get them there or get them very close to being there to what they want. As we're creating our entry level things, we have to be able to articulate what the steps are. So you say, in order to be fully in love with your body, and again, I'm making this up for an example, right? But in order to be fully in love with your body, right, you have to have strength, physical strength, you have to have mental mind strength, you have to eat well. Stupid example, I'm just making it up. So my first course, and the one that I think is most important, is actually eating well. So I'm going to give you a course, which is a 6-week course. We're going to do 75 minutes a week, and it's going to teach you how to eat well, because that's the first step in loving your body, which when you have that, you can get what you want. Do you see the sequence? And the most important thing is that in your communication, you're always connecting the dots. The reason I'm offering this on meditation is because that's a key core component to the entire body love, right? That's why I'm offering it. And then when somebody says, oh, I really want that whole body love thing, right? And you're like, okay, well then you need to coach with me, right? Because that's when I can give you the whole thing. But this is the first snippet. And you might offer 3 snippets, right? You say, during the course of our time together in our membership, what I do in the membership is I start with this, then I gradually move on to this, then I gradually move on to this. These are all components, the big thing, which I do in the coaching. And then when somebody says, I love all the pieces, but now I want you to put them all together, then that's when you do the coaching, right? But there's that consistency. I'm going to give you a sort of an advanced, just a little snippet, and we can talk about more of this on a coaching session if you want. You don't want to say it in terms of, if you're not ready to do this with me.
Got it.
This is why I'm offering this. It's like, this is the big enchilada. This is the first step. And then when somebody says, I want the whole enchilada now, then you say, let's have a conversation. And that's when you lead them into coaching. But it's never, I don't coach anybody to create smaller programs just to be smaller programs. I coach people to create smaller programs that automatically will lead into and filter into your big. That's why we start with the big one, right? Because then it's much easier to reverse engineer and find the smaller one. The other end of the spectrum is you say, but I know her and she's really a heavy person. She needs to feel lighter. I need to do this to get her to feel lighter. And I know she gets scattered really easily. I need to do this to get her more clear. So I'm going to make sure I do that. And she's got a lot of energy, but sometimes it's misdirected. I want to make sure I direct the energy. I'm going to make sure I do that. So now you know the things that you want to do in order to get her the outcome that she wants, which is ultimately the outcome that you want. And then what I would do, not the only way to do this, but what I would do is I would set up the beginning of the day, I would set up and say, you know what, here's what I'm thinking we are going to accomplish here is I want to get you lighter. I want to get you clearer. I want to give you in a position to make better decisions, and I want to give you a lot more energy. Does that make sense to you? Are you in agreement with those things? And what would you add to that? And then whatever she adds to that, then that's what you do in order to get her that. We always need to be reading the room, right?
Right.
Even if it's just the two of us in the room, we need to be reading it, right?
Yeah.
And if she's falling behind or getting lethargic in any one area, you're probably gonna need to switch things up. So just be cognizant of that and be able to read the room, figure out what she wants and what she needs. Then I think the other thing to consider is that there's obviously going to be certain things that probably need to be done before other things can be done, right? You can't really strategize until you know what you want to strategize for, right? So it's like, first we got to figure out what we're strategizing for, then we can strategize. You're brilliant enough to figure that out, but that's just common sense, right? So as you set it up, it's like, okay, we need to do this first, because if we don't do this, we're never going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then just read her and just say, it takes you a little while to get warmed up in the morning, and we're all different. Great. I love that. So we're going to do some things differently in the morning so that you can get warmed up so that we can go screaming in the afternoon, because they go hand in hand. They're consistent. My observation is that, and this is not a bad thing, I just want to sort of switch it around a little bit. I feel that you're focusing on who you are and how you present yourself. Extremely important, and we're definitely going to work on that. But what I want to do in the flipping it around is I want you to think more about who are your people and what do they want, right? Because once we understand who they are, and I know you're well down this track, so I'm not suggesting you're not, but once we understand who they are and what they want, that helps us to better articulate for ourselves who we should be. Not that we should be anybody different than we are, but it's just given that, how do we as who we are show up for them? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not looking to change you in any way. I'm just looking for you to understand this is my tribe, this is what they want, this is what my business is, this is the way I need to walk into the room. So what I'd like you to do is start to think about who are my people and what do they want. I think that what you should do is you should just take people on your journey. And there are a lot of businesses and a lot of business people and a lot of entrepreneurs have done this and that do this all the time, extremely successful. And the only thing that you have to do, I say the only thing, right? The only thing you have to do is you just have to be 2 steps ahead of the people that you're working with. And so it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to teach you now the realization that I had 2 months ago, right? As we go through this journey. I'm always very cognizant and appreciative and respectful of everyone's time. We're about a minute left before the top of the hour. I usually set aside more time so I can spend more time if I need to, and I'm happy to spend more time with Charlene and anybody else that wants to stay on. But if you need to jump off at the top of the hour, please feel free to do so, and we'll see you then. But I just want to mention that before I continue on with Charlene. So where I'm trying to figure out, Charlene, is it seems to me like you believe that there's something more than just you in this physical body sitting in the chair on planet Earth. And it also sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it also sounds to me like you believe that it's your job, your right, your gift, or whatever to define that for yourself. And tell me if I'm wrong. And so if that's the case, that if you believe that you can do that for yourself, I'm assuming that you also believe that anybody else can do that for themselves. I'm going to suggest that you start to talk about and start to market about what your journey is, and to be very upfront that you haven't finished your journey yet, right? And that there is a certain aspect of it that continues to change and evolve. The other part of your marketing message is to invite others to come along on their journey with you. We're going to walk down this road together, right? I have an idea of where I believe this road's going and where I want it to go. I want to invite you to come walk down the road with me.
Yeah.
Right? And as we're walking down the road, I may see an oasis on the right and you might not see it, but I'll explain to you what I'm seeing, right? And I want to hear from you what you're seeing. And then together we will figure out what this means to us. That's the general gist of what I'm thinking about for you and your business.